friends, welcome back to the channel and to another video about how I use Notion as a PhD student. This video might be a bit rough and ready. You all know that I love to densely populate my videos with memes, but actually the content of today's video was a recent discovery, and rather than spend weeks planning out a video, I thought it would just be most helpful if I just got a video up about it sooner rather than later. And that is how I have been able to sync my Zotero databases into my Notion databases. This has been really useful from a couple of perspectives, primarily because Notion is where I do all of my PhD planning, note-taking, brainstorming, but obviously the functionality of Zotero is slightly different in that it is a reference manager. The new API/integration feature that Notion has published now allows you to sync your reference manager databases into Notion itself, which I personally find fantastic. It just allows me to keep a lot of my PhD stuff all together under one Notion umbrella while still getting the benefits of all that Zotero has to offer, particularly when it comes to things like curating a bibliography, referencing the right way, and also I would use Zotero a lot to clip articles, dissertations, that sort of thing from the web directly into my Zotero, and now it also directly goes into my Notion. Before we get started, I need to give a shout out to another PhD content creator called Temi. Temi posted about how she had found this particular new feature of Notion really useful. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I need to have that in my life, and she kindly pointed me to the online articles that teach you how to do it. The reason why I'm creating this video, which you will see is heavily based on those how-to articles, is because I like to learn things via video content, and I couldn't find any videos on how to do that, so that's what this is. So, intro not aside. If you're new here, my name is Holly. Welcome to our little corner of the internet. I am a PhD student from Ireland. I'm currently based in New York, and on my channel you'll find an unequal mix of study with me live streams, academic lifestyle content, and from time to time I also share my experiences as a stage 4 cancer patient. If you want more of that, I'll link the playlists down below. Let's jump into this video's tutorial. So before we get into the steps, here's a little bit of context. What is it exactly that I want to sync from Zotero into my Notion? I'm going to open up my Zotero to show you exactly what I want to share. So I'm in year 2 of my PhD, and over the last 18 months or so, I have added any important reference that I have thought that I might need into Zotero. I've gradually built those up into a series of folders, as you can see here, organized around different themes pertaining to my topic, and also just how to do a PhD in general. I think all of PhD students have a folder called How to Do a PhD, and I am no exception. But I don't want all of that information in my Notion. I don't need it. I'm sitting an exam at the end of year 2. It's called my PhD transfer exam. It's a feature that's common to most PhD programs in Europe, I believe. But for those of you who might be watching from the States or elsewhere around the world, this is a pretty big exam in which my supervisory panel will read all of the research I've done so far and decide if it's worthy of continuing on into years 3 and 4, so that I might ultimately be awarded a PhD. If they don't decide it's worthy, I just get a master's, which, not to shit on a master's, but I already have one, so it's a pretty important exam. And as such, the paper that I'm writing, which is summarizing all of my research so far, is what I am preparing over the next couple of weeks and months. I have a select number of literature that I want to summarize in that document, and I've put it in a folder in my Zotero, as you can see here. It's called PhD Transfer Exam Literature Review. And all of the sources that I want to take notes on in my Notion have gone in here. That is what I want to appear in my Notion. So how do I do that? Let's go into my Notion PhD page. Nothing too out of the ordinary here, but what I've done is I've created a database into which I want that information from Zotero to flow. I didn't build this database template myself. I took it from the instruction article that helped me set up my Notero. So if you see this database and you think, oh my sweet Jesus, do I have to do all of that? No, you don't. Just download the template and then you can edit it as you see fit to suit your own research needs. But you do need a database at the beginning of this tutorial so that you have something that can be synced up to the information in Notion. So let's get into the nitty-gritty step-by-step process. The first thing that you're going to want to do is to set up what is called a Notion internal integration token. When I first read that, I was like, well, what the fuck does that mean? But basically, it acts like a window through which the Zotero information will flow through to Notion. So let's do that together now. You're going to click on this link. It's down in the description box below. And when you click on that, it'll open you up to this page. You might have to log into your Notion account if you haven't used it in your browser recently. But once you've logged into your Notion account, you're going to want to select this button here, which is called New Integration. You're going to label this integration however you see fit. If you have more than one workspace in your Notion, you're going to want to select the Notion into which you want this integration to go. It would be wise to also briefly read through all of this security information as to, data and that sort of thing. But once you're happy with it all, click this button at the bottom, and then this integration is created. Number two is to create that database that you need to sync up your Zotero information into Notion. So if you haven't already done that, I'll give you a minute. Take your time to do that now. I'll be here. Okay, let's keep going. Now you want to share the database that you've just created with the integration you created in step one. Go to your database page, click on the share button, and use the selector to find your integration by its name, and then click invite. So now your integration now has the requested access or requested permission to enter that database. Step number 4, the next step. Now you need to take note of the database ID, and that's quite straightforward. Again, go to the share menu and copy the link to the page. Now paste the link in any text editor. I did it in an empty email. You can do it in your notes app, whatever works, so that you can take a closer look. The URL uses the following format, and you need the part that corresponds to the database ID. That's a 32 character long piece of information. Go ahead and copy and paste that, as you can see me doing here. The next step in the tutorial. You need to download the latest version of Notero, and I've linked the page that has that down below. Once it's downloaded, you're going to open up Zotero, go to the add-ons manager via the tools section, and then you're going to install the .xpi file by either dragging and dropping it into the add-ons manager window or selecting it using the install add-on from file option in the gear menu in the top right corner of the window. Once you've done that, you need to quit Zotero and restart it to activate the plugin. The next thing you're going to want to do is open the Notero preferences from the Tools tab and enter the required preferences. So what are those preferences? The first thing you need is the integration token, and you can go back to your integration page, copy and paste the integration token, paste it in here. The second piece of information that they need is your database ID. So that's that 32 long figure that we copied from the page URL. And then you want to sync the collection that you've made. You want to enable a sync to whatever collections you want to include in your database. As I explained at the beginning, I really only need one database in my Zotero to sync into my database in Notion. So I've clicked that. Once I did that, then everything was ready to go. I'm going to finish up this tutorial by showing you how this works in real time. Now, a few caveats as to this plugin as it exists at the moment, and there are a few limitations. The main ones, as far as I can see, being that one, you can't seem to sync back into Zotero. And the second one is that you cannot import attached files, just due to the limitations of the API at present. That's fine with me. I really just use Zotero to build my bibliography and to store PDFs, and the feature that I use Notion in regards to my PhD is actually taking notes. So that's why for me this plugin in particular works so well. But hopefully as the API continues to develop, these plugins will become more sophisticated and we will all benefit from the wonderful weird world that is technology. And that's how I'm going to wrap up this video. If you found this video useful, I would love if you gave it a thumbs up. That is it for now. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and until I see you in the next one, thank you so much for watching.